Week 9, Pokemon Go and Telemetry by Group 2, Brianna Montez, Cassie Jones, Jay Johnston, and Tony Daly. So for our case study, we chose Pokemon Go, and specifically launch day for Pokemon Go. Now, Pokemon Go is an augmented reality game app that's used on mobile devices. It was developed and published by Niantic in collaboration with Nintendo, and it was launched back in 2016. On the back-end side, it was hosted by Google, and it does use many of Google's cloud services. Primarily, the database was on the cloud data stores, and that was the direct proxy for the primary it contains the Pokemon world, and that was how everyone interacted with the game. And right now, Google's global network actually provides, helps reduce the latency, and it runs on their actual private fiber networks to help provide reliability. At launch day, due to underestimation, just general use, downloads, account creation, and just trying to get onto the game caused a whole bunch of outages worldwide and connectivity issues. The amount of servers that they had in multiple countries were not able to handle this traffic. And some of these initial issues, they did carry on for days before they got a few of them fixed and got people to play the game. However, a lot of the persistent issues, they lasted for months as engineers from both Google and Niantic, they tried to fix a lot of these issues from launch day. Now you can see on this graph that they estimated that their traffic, their estimated traffic, we'll call that 1x. That's what they expected to happen on launch day. In a worst case scenario, they estimated 5 times this estimated number, whatever that number was. But actually on launch day, they received 50 times the traffic that they estimated. So you can see it was just a gross underestimation of the use and the anticipation and people wanting to use the game. So ultimately, that day it was not a good day to try to join Pokemon Go. And so, yeah, go ahead and hit the next slide. And as you can see, compared that day to what we have today, we do have a lot of updated features. Ultimately, they did fix a lot of the latency issues and sign-on issues. We can see that if you play the game today, there are no glitches, or there's very, very, very few. The app does run smoothly, and it does have new quality of life features. Bugs are gone. You can play the game almost anywhere you want around the world. And they have added even enough features where you have such features where there's a visual change in the sky. So if you play the game in one part of the country, it kind of mimics the weather that in the area that you're playing. And if you go to the other side of the country and it might be a completely different weather, it kind of helps mimic that. So they do have updated changes that allow all this augmented technology to kind of mimic the real world. And they definitely have a bunch of new setups that they've added. So those are kind of a contrast between then and now.
So as we kind of look at what kind of is happening here, from then and now, they had a process of recording information to kind of decide what they could do to kind of fix their app. One of the most common questions that we need to ask is, what data should we be recording to improve our program? So at the early stages of development, like Jay was saying, there was a lot of issues with the app. And a lot of time, a lot of the questions that these developers were beginning to ask is, what do we need to fix? How do we fix things, or what do we need to figure out? And so what they ended up doing is they ended up creating, forms of telemetry that they would track, daily logins, mass event logins, for example, like weekends and holidays. They would track how many new users were created, like month to month. They had also tracked a location registry because people were beginning to kind of spoof their location so that they could make their character go, all the way to Japan from, the US or something like that. And they also recorded, while it's not an automated, not technically a form of telemetry, they also used a lot of the player feedback to kind of decide how they wanted to move the app forward. They also, other things that they could have tracked that might have also helped is, how many times the app crash amounts happen. They might have implemented that. I wasn't able to find anything exactly if they implemented a crash feedback, but that would have been a very important one as well. They also could have recorded, this one would have been important as well, how long it took the average user to, what the time it took them to start the app to finish loading up the app. Because as far as mobile apps go, it still is a little bit slow comparably to a lot of apps compared to what it is loading up. So this could be, there could be many things to kind of fix that, but tracking that might help them determine, is that something that they can figure out? Is that something that is a real issue or not? Based off of the data that they recorded, this is where the fixing kind of came in. This is where they were able to decide, oh shoot, for how many, like Jay was saying, they had such a mass amount of logins, they decided, oh shoot, we need to increase our server capacities. We need to be able to make it so that, one, we have more servers to store accounts. Two, we need to create a higher bandwidth that allows more users to access the servers. And we needed to create like queue times so that whenever a mass amount of people logged in at the same time, it would allow them to make it so the server wouldn't just crash. These were very important things in the earliest stage, and it was important for them to fix it as quick as possible. And so telemetry became a very important aspect of this because it allowed them the ability to kind of see what was going on. It was helping them see, well, how many people were actually logged in? How big do we need to increase our server capacities? Like how many more, how much more bandwidth do we really need in order to make it so players are able to log in comfortably? And this is a very, very important, and I feel like it's important for any, server-based app usage. I mean, if we look at Facebook, Instagram, all these other places you go to log in, they have to kind of keep those kind of things in mind as well. And they're constantly recording that information. So it's a very important thing to kind of keep in mind. What they could have also fixed, better, and I think that this might still be kind of an issue today, is, oftentimes we look in technology how load times is very key for app development. If it takes forever for a person to get into an app, it's not very phone friendly. So that's something that they could have looked more into, is creating better load times for their app. Even if you load it up today, it's still kind of sluggish. It takes a few minutes to get yourself into the server. And then when you do get into the server, they do have a little bit too many of screen notifications that will pop up, and it can cause, obviously that can cause lag. That can cause some of the issues that we're seeing as well. But all in all, the biggest problem that they were able to fix, and it was good that they did this, was the ability to handle the people logging into the server.
So in conclusion, Pokemon Go had launched and that just had so much more traffic than they expected. And with that comes a lot of problems. And so they used telemetry to be able to track that player feedback, the login data, the crashes, the load times, all of those things, and then be able to use that data to fix those errors and issues. I mean, they had approximately 827,000 daily users as of January 2021. So they're dealing with a lot of people using this game. And so they needed to be able to fix those errors. And they used telemetry in a great way to be able to do that. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching.